streaming live, is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm Sergeant Ryan Fleming. I've been a Rockford police officer for 18 years now. I have been everything from a patrol officer to a Rockford Housing Authority officer. I was a sensitive crimes detective, which is mainly like crimes against children or crimes in sexual nature. I became a sergeant. I was on night shift for a few months, and then around end of May, early June, I was moved to the community services unit here.
My name's Officer Turner. I've been a police officer for 23 years. I've done some other units such as the school unit. I even worked the front desk for a year, which is pretty interesting. Not many officers can say that, but did that, worked patrol, and now I'm a Rock House officer. Rock House is an acronym for Resident Officer Community Keeper. So the department has provided me with a house in which I live in an area, and I police from that house, and I help create some community programming and things like that, such as Pumpkins with the Police, or Breakfast with Santa, served by the police, or the free laundry program that we have called the Fresh for Learning Laundry Program. So lots of positive community programming.
And I am Andrew Seal. I've been a police officer since 2008. I worked a variety of different units, patrol, schools, housing, and I'm also a Rock House officer.
Awesome. Oh, I would like to introduce myself as well, and I am the pastor of this church, and by the grace of God, I am leading an African community, and we would like to be part of the city, and we just don't know how. We just don't know how, and it's been so tough, and we would like to learn from your experience and help us to understand. Have you ever been in contact with African guy, a criminal African guy? How do you guys approach those people? We have a lot of barriers, to get involved, be part of the city. So our goal is not to be a church where we can learn a Bible verse. Yes, it's very important to have a Bible verse because that's our spiritual food. But at the same time, we also would like to see how can we improve Rockford. We were brought to, some of us, myself came as a refugee. I came as a refugee, I learned here, and I'm so proud of Rockford, and I would have to give back to Rockford. How can we do it? How can we do it? How can you help this community to be part, not to be forgotten? Nobody paying attention to that. We just walking on the street, and we don't know anything about the law. We don't know anything. How can you help our community to learn?
My one big suggestion specifically for you, because you will be able to, teach and preach, is we have a Citizens Police Academy. It is Wednesday nights. It's actually starting up here. I can get you the exact day, and I can even get you, it should be on our Facebook page. But that they meet once a week for 10 weeks. It's 2 hours on Wednesday night. You will learn everything that we do in those 2-hour blocks, from patrol to criminal law to crime scene, SWAT, everything. And that will give you and anybody else that wants to sign up for it. But I think you would be a great benefit from that because you will learn things like criminal law and like our tactics and all that. And anybody, it's free. Any adult, you have to be 18 or over to sign up for it. But I think that would be greatly beneficial for you because you are with the group of people I don't know how often your church meets, but you will come back with an intimate knowledge of how we work, and you'll be able to spread it to people yourself.
And that was one of my goals when I came to the United States. The goal was to become a lawyer.
Okay.
That was my goal. I took a pre-law test, and I passed the test. And unfortunately, I could not get the money to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got the call from the Lord. I went to a theology school, and now I'm focusing on pastoring, making sure I try to not only sending those people out, but they have to go some core values, some moral values. When you go there, you represent this community. You represent the I Am Jesus community. So this is the job I am doing right now, but I need to open up this community to you guys.
Yeah.
When you approach them, sometimes you are approaching somebody who's ignorant, who doesn't know how I'm going to treat those people. And I don't know if your experience, have you ever been in contact with an African guy or lady with no knowledge? How procedures, law procedures going, how do you share, how do you treat those people?
I can speak to that. In the past, in the recent past, I was part of a program that would go to Catholic charities and help with people who were new to the country, not just people from countries in Africa, but other countries as well. In that program, we would teach how to interact with police officers, proper way to pull over, if an officer gets behind you and turn the lights on, the proper way to pull over, how to speak with an officer, what to do and not to do, what happens if an officer knocks on your door, just things like that. And I think a lot of people, they gained a lot of knowledge by that program. Unfortunately, that program is coming to an end. However, places like this, a church or community centers, maybe once a month or twice a year or something like that could have something similar so that people who don't, typically have interactions with officers can have those interactions and become comfortable with law enforcement. I have to point to my buddy, Officer Seal over here. He actually runs a wonderful soccer program, and his soccer program probably, I would say maybe 80% of the young men and women that play with him are from different African countries. I know a lot from the Congo, Rwanda, right? Uganda. He has Tanzania. Yeah, he has quite a few. But in doing that program, he not only has contact with those children as well as the parents. So he can form a positive relationship with the kids, but he's giving them rides sometimes. Sometimes, he's meeting them after hours in his own time on the weekends, and he's having contacts with parents as well. I know that through him and his program, I was able to meet quite a few families from Africa, even get invited to the house where I was able to eat with them and, experience some foods that I never had before. So I think that was a big deal. I could see the look on the father's face who invited me in to sit down. He was very surprised that I was willing to eat with them, but I was very interested, and I take that as an honor. So I think, programs like that are a good idea.
Awesome. Awesome. And then, please, guys, I would love you guys to ask some questions. It's about helping our community to be part of this city. And we have waiting for this moment to speak with you. The church, they are away. It's the church of 100 people. And now they are just scared. I know the problem is just they are scared to meet with the police officer. It's going to be the first time. What am I going to be telling them? And I would like to know why it is important for the African person to know. You driving a car, you have to have your insurance.
Right.
Yes.
Driver's license is important. And I would love to get those stuff. Why do you have to pay your sticker on time?
Right.
The insurance, it's a liability thing. It's not just for you, it's for other people on the road. But if you're driving without insurance, even if you get in a car accident and the other person's at fault, they might not have insurance, and that insurance protects you if you're injured. Insurance is a protection. Like, yeah, is it a pain to have to remember to pay it, and sometimes it's expensive? Yes. The goal is to never actually have to use it, honestly. But it's a good thing to have in case you or a loved one is injured in a car accident. Or if you get in a car accident, you're at fault and somebody else gets injured, then you can be civilly liable for that. And you could lose everything you've come here to and worked for. Could be gone in just the snap of a finger. It's just that stop sign. So insurance is very important. Stickers are, I don't even know how to explain why stickers.
Sometimes there are just laws because they are the laws. So, unfortunately, we would love to ask why they exist, and I wish I had the answer to all of that.
I think they help
But
pay for our roads.
Yes.
I think.
They bring money in for our city, and that's how they
Yeah.
fix the roads, all these potholes that we encounter. That's one way that they help to pay for those. But keep in mind that us officers, we have to abide by those same rules. So the same stickers, the same insurance, I have a car as well, and I have to make sure my sticker is good on my license plate just as well. All the tolls, we don't get a free pass, we gotta pay too. So, yeah, we understand.
Can you tell us if your sticker is expired and you get pulled over by the police, what are some penalties that you may tell those people to know?
it's not a moving violation, so it doesn't affect your driver's license, but it can be a fine. Officers do have discretion too. So just because your sticker's expired doesn't mean you're automatically getting a ticket. You could just be upfront with them and explain why if you have a valid reason for getting your registration, or you've just been really busy, we appreciate honesty and we appreciate dialogue. You know, it's when people are standoffish with us or kind of immediately get mad at us, those people often talk themselves into tickets. You rarely write tickets to very nice, honest people. A lot of tickets I've wrote in my career, people have talked themselves into those tickets by just kind of being confrontational from the beginning, where I probably would normally give people a pass on things, but they are just kind of educating them. That was always my favorite thing in traffic stops. I didn't like writing tickets, just it's time consuming. It's not really accomplishing anything really besides somebody that may be down on their luck already, then you're fining them more money. The educational aspect of the traffic stop can be great too, where you can stop people and explain to them why they need insurance, why they need registration, why you need things like that.
Yeah, what we can tell you is, like my sergeant said, that traffic offense is discretionary. That means that if you want to write a ticket or you feel the need to give a ticket, you can. But by law, we don't absolutely have to give a ticket. But what we can assure you is that no one will go to jail based on the offense of having an expired ticket, an expired sticker. That is not something that we jail people on. So don't feel nervous to pull over. You know, every officer is human. We like to appeal, we in the city, we like to appeal to the human side of the person that we encounter. They're the same as us, you know, we just choose to do this job. But, yeah, it's not a jailable offense. Pull over, be clear, you know, as clear as possible, be polite, and hopefully the officer is being just as clear and polite. And, yeah, a lot of times it's not a ticket. Sometimes it is. If it is a ticket, that's not the end of the world. It's just a ticket. It's a fine. You pay the fine and you move on with life. I'm gonna apologize now because I like to talk, so.
No, I mean, you touching exactly what we are expecting from you to tell us. That's a good conversation, and we would like this conversation to keep continue, I mean, to be continued. Maybe next time we schedule or something. I would like to appreciate Jeremy for helping this to happen, and we love our community to be known in the city, to be known. And I can tell you today, yesterday I was in talk with public school. And the good news they gave to me, Swahili is going to become one of the language they are going to introduce in the school system. So which means we also need to be represented in any administration. Let's say the police, where is the possibility for the African guy to get into the police?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd have to look up if it's,
I'm not,
a lot of it, yeah, it depends on like, not citizenship, but
Right.
kind of citizenship. So I have to look at it. It's not a Rockford rule. It's like, it's a state law. So I wouldn't want to misspeak, so I want to look up the exact wording of it.
In the past, I don't think it required you, like for.
citizenship. Yeah, I can't speak to that because I'm not sure of the
It's like
exact,
a lawful resident.
Yeah,
is that what it is? Not
Yeah.
a citizen?
You know,
I can find out for you for sure though. As a matter of fact, are you texting?
I'm trying to Google it right now.
Okay, we can text our recruiter and find out too.
Yeah, and
If you have her phone number. But say someone, you know, is of African descent and they have their citizenship or whatever it is that they
New bill.
require, what is the new bill?
in Illinois, certain non-citizens are eligible to become police officers as established by a state law that went into effect January 1st of this year,
Okay.
or last year.
So
It
non-citizen.
runs the eligibility for police officers' positions beyond U.S. citizenship. You have to be legally authorized to work in the United States and be legally authorized under federal law to obtain, carry, or possess a firearm. So that's it.
Yes.
Yes, so, yeah, we're all getting educated right now.
Yes, yeah, learn something new every day, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
you do have to be 21 or older.
Yes.
Oh,
Of course.
21.
My passion is mental health. And we're talking about people that are coming here from different culture, and mental health is not really something that they talk about But when you're dealing with families that have children, and they're coming from a different space, the, what am I trying to say? The way that they treat their children looks different than what we expect from here. The way that they choose to discipline their children, looks different than what we expect here. So at points, they're having DCFS, child welfare come to their home, police come to their home, but they're unable to explain that cultural differences. Do you guys have any experiences, or can you talk on how you approach and how does the police handle those situations when they know it's not I hate my child thing. No, it's just a cultural way that they deal with discipline.
I, as a detective, had a call with an African family, and it ended up being, it was, somebody else observed it, and they called the DCFS, and I got the report. Is there a thing called a Wiko? Is that like a big spoon? Wiko? My butcher. It was like, almost looked like a big wooden spoon.
A fufu stick?
Oh, foi que fufu stick.
But they had a certain, and I swear it was like a week. It's been like 2 years so I might just be boggling this in my brain. But like, once we established, and it wasn't anything excessive. I mean, there's also the gray area where Illinois law, and then, whatever a culture's decision of discipline is, like, we can't really accept. There's that gray area where, like, yeah, it might be the culture from where somebody came from, but then here that might be excessive discipline.
Correct.
This wasn't by any means, but then I did learn what that was, and I mean, it was an African family, and I remember I had to have like a child translate most of it.
Right.
But they were once they were able to explain to me, and like it did seem like that, but I learned culture. I don't remember where they were from that day, but it's just, we could try to teach them, but I think you're gonna do the best job there, because if people are scared to speak to us, but people need to understand that just because it's culturally acceptable somewhere, if people see it here and it falls on that side of the boundary, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. If it's just kind of how it works, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but hopefully just an educational aspect of it, like especially if you are the first contact with people
Okay.
when they come here, just kind of explain to them like some things that were acceptable before might not be here. You could print out, like, there's you're allowed to punish your child. Corporal punishment is legal in Illinois, but there are parameters to that. Like, you can spank your kid, it's not legal to spank your child. Once you start using, blunt objects and causing scarring and stuff like that, that's where we kind of cross the line to child abuse. But you are allowed to punish your child in Illinois, but there's a very low bar for what's allowed.
I think those are good questions and good conversations for newcomers to the country to have with law enforcement or with social workers, just to gain understanding on what is socially acceptable and legally acceptable here in the United States versus where they came from. I did have an incident once where I was speaking to a gentleman, I can't remember which country in Africa, but he was telling me that in his culture, it was very common to pull the child's hair, to beat the child with a shoe or a stick, and that was common. And I tried to explain to him that here we don't do that. Here that is illegal. And he said his Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. So should he listen to me and, or should he listen to his Bible? And so I just explained to him that here on earth, that is a jailable offense and I can enforce that. In the afterlife, maybe he can deal with the Lord on that, but while he's here, he has to deal with me. But yeah, so I think those are important conversations that we have. What is legally acceptable and socially acceptable? Sometimes those two are not going to mix. Before I came here, I was a couple minutes behind of what I was going to be because I was dealing with an accident where two gentlemen were riding a little motor scooter that you see some people on in the city that are actually illegal, that they shouldn't be on, but they ride them anyway. But two people were on a motor scooter and they happened to be from an African country, spoke very little English. But from where they came from, that's normal. That's what you ride. lots of people ride those, and there was an accident. They got knocked off of the motor scooter. Luckily, they're okay, but there's a reason we don't allow those here. They're very dangerous, and unfortunately, he learned that today, the hard way, so.
I have to get going to my next meeting,
Okay.
but, make sure we exchange give your contact information to Officer Turner, Officer Seal, and that way I can get you all the information for Citizens Police Academy.
Yes.
And I just looked up in Waco, that is it. Like,
Oh, that is what it's called?
Yeah, that's here.
yeah, WFIKO, yeah, I knew that, somehow remember the name, I don't know how, but it was great meeting you guys.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, sorry.
Yes. What can the immigrant coming from Africa, and now we know that the new administration today, I don't want to put you in a position where you have to take a side, whatever, but today we know the immigrants are really faithful about living everywhere in the United States right now.
ICE, like, what is?
What can the police of beautiful city of Rockford reassure to those immigrants waiting for, following the all procedures? They are living in your city. What can they expect from you?
Well, I'd like to say, again, I apologize because I talk a lot. But I would like to remind newcomers or immigrants, as you put it, to the country that we are not ICE. We are the police of the city of Rockford. We do not operate as ICE. We won't approach people and ask them to give us their papers or their citizenship status or things like that. That is not something that we're interested in as police officers in the city of Rockford. We are interested in upholding the laws of our city and our state. As far as approaching about paper and citizenship, that's not for us. We leave that to ICE. We can't ever say that they won't encounter ICE in our city. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know what will happen in the future, but that doesn't have anything to do with us. I'll say that.
Yeah, Officer Zell, as Officer Turner was talking about your involvement with kids and the soccer, is it a club?
No, it's more like a group. We get together, so all throughout the summer and then like in the winter.
Yeah, how did that happen? How did you come up with that? What was your thinking of getting like the African community involved in that soccer activity?
You know, truthfully, the idea came about from when I worked at schools.
Okay.
And so I would be in the lunches and I'd talk to some of the kids, and some of them played soccer, and they were African. And a lot of them had younger brothers. And so, yeah, it just kind of came from there. I mean, it was in the pandemic, it's kind of when it started. And then we just kind of, we would get together on like Sunday afternoons. And then from there, it just kind of went and became more. And so then the little brothers brought friends and so on and so forth.
He's being kind of modest. He's not telling.
I'm hearing that and seeing that.
Yeah, he's not telling the whole story. So also, Officer Seal lives in an area of the city that has a large immigrant population.
Oh.
So directly across the street from you, when you moved in, you had a family. That's actually where I ate dinner or ate some, I don't even know what I had. It looked like, it kind of looked like spinach. It was green and a vegetable and it was ground up and I just kind of, it was really good though. But that's where I actually ate dinner with the family. It was so good. It was so good. But yes, so yeah, he, along with his soccer program, like last summer, was it last summer or the summer before that I jumped in?
Just some,
Summer before I kind of jumped in to help him because I thought it was such a good idea. It was such a cool program and I like kids. So I jumped in to help him out a little bit. Not that he needed my help or anything, but I just thought it looked like fun. But as well as playing soccer together, I thought what a perfect opportunity to basically capture them because they were a captive audience, meaning they were already here. I already have a group of kids. So what knowledge can I give them? So we talked about how to communicate with police officers. We talked about hygiene, how to properly, take a shower, use a bath towel, whatever. We talked about things like that. respect and how to show respect for others as well as yourself. So it was not just soccer, it was more than just that. And I would like to say they were a wonderful group of kids. If I could mold other kids to be like them, I would. They were so respectful and just decent kids. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, if I had more time, I would definitely
Yeah.
help them more. But he also got lots of equipment for them. He went to one of the sporting goods stores in the area, got them soccer shoes, because when I tell you these boys just loved the game, they would be out there barefoot,
Yes.
barefoot playing real deal soccer with, just nothing on. So we went to one of the sporting goods stores. Officer Seal was able to talk them into getting tons of soccer cleats, tons of shoes for, what's the game called you guys play? Futsal?
So,
Futsal, which is like soccer, but on a harder surface, but tons of balls and nets. So yeah, more than just soccer, it was building some positive relationships.
And
It was
I
cool.
feel like that's like
Yeah,
amazing.
it was cool. He's just a quiet guy. That's
And then I see that, because that's something, I want him to talk, I want him to
yeah.
express his experience, but
And it is hard to toot your own horn, so I understand. It's hard to talk about yourself in a positive manner, but from the outside, I see what he does,
yeah.
and it's a good thing.
Yeah, because that same experience that you're having with those kids, I worked at Constance Lane, and they started doing that. Extra belonging
Mm-hmm.
to your community. So you have helped these kids feel like they belong, and now they see a police officer, badge, but they also see a man, a figure that they can go to kind of help them continue on their growth. So that's just excellent.
Yeah.
So I want more of that, and how can we help you to make that bigger? What are your thoughts?
mm, I would say, maybe it's just really a matter of like connecting the dots and, kind of bringing the people in. I mean, obviously I can get you guys more information and, when the program started to grow, like at the very beginning, Constance Lane was actually one of the
That's where it
first places that
started.
we started.
Yeah,
And so now a lot of those kids, from when I started, they're like freshmen, sophomores in high school now. But Constance Lane is where we kind of ran it was like a little after school program. And it went from there to the summer and then it just, kind of went from there. So I want to say like the guy who runs the pro or who did it last year, he used to go to East. He was one of the kids that I met back in the day because one of his little brothers does the program with me.
We experience, I would say, on a daily basis, we experience some social disparities in health, to be honest. We are facing the problem of trust. As a police officer, what can you guys provide to us or open us a door which can make us believe we are now part of the system?
that's a good question. I have to say, I was actually surprised to hear that you didn't feel like you were part of the system. When we first sat down to speak, you told me, if I'm not mistaken, that you almost feel invisible in society,
Yes.
that, we don't see you. But I don't know, maybe I see things differently just because I am like a culture junkie. I love different cultures. I think of our society as a soup. I speak in analogies sometimes, so stick with me here.
Yes.
I think of our society as a soup. Now, what I want is soup with only chicken in it and nothing else? No, that would be very boring.
Yes.
I want some soup with some carrots, and I want some sweet potato, and I want some celery and some seasoning. Hook it up, lots of different things. And I see our society that same way. So I see the African community. I don't see you as invisible. I see you, and I want to be connected. I think a proper question is, what would you like us to do? How can we be of more service to you? What would you like to see us do?
In your introductory paragraph, I paid attention to you talking how the social skill you have, the experience you have been in the community for so long and helping some people to thrive. And we facing a lot of obstacles. We're facing a lot of obstacles. And we have been looking for programs, for example, not just playing soccer. How can you guys be helping this community to have a resource center, a place where if you guys need any information, you can just come to the office, you just come to this place. We can apply a job somewhere in staffing place. We apply the job, we have the qualification. It's tough for an African guy to be where we can train our own people, get them ready to go to work. It's becoming so, I mean, you see many families even losing their mortgage. Just one.
Each other again, not that, but something we can do where we meet, say, once a month, on a regular basis, so we can start build positive relationships with people from the African community. At this point, I don't know what it looks like. Maybe it looks like Officer Seal hosting a soccer game in your field back there, and then we come inside and we all sit down and eat dinner together, and maybe have a brief lesson where you teach us how to speak Swahili.
Yes.
Maybe that, I don't know. We can talk about it and we can start building some programming from here. That's the way I like to come at problems just head on. I like to sit down. I didn't know this was a problem, so now that I know, I think of solutions, ways that I can build on that. But we are available and ready to help in any way that we can. I speak for both of us when I say that. I know him very well. He's a very quiet guy, but I know his heart. I know how he is, and I know whatever we need to help, whatever we need, he'll be right there with us.
So I'd like to jump in with a quick question. So we talked a little bit about how language barriers are something that we see, and we even had an example where there was a child who had to translate for a family. And so I guess for young people in this community that might be interested in becoming a police officer, how do you see having somebody who speaks multiple languages within the police department, how beneficial can that be to you and to the department as a whole?
Oh, yeah. A great asset. Not only do we see it as a great asset, they actually earn more money than someone who only speaks one language. So if they have the ability to translate in another language, they have the ability to earn more money than just an officer who can't speak another language. So we see them as a great asset. We actually have a program for kids It is our Explorers program. It teaches all about policing, how to become an officer. They meet once a week. They learn everything from handcuffing techniques to what's legally acceptable at home, you know, as far as domestic disputes and things like that. Anything that we teach at Police Academy, they teach these kids that. And that's open to everyone, including immigrants, including people from African countries. We don't care about citizenship status. That is not important to us. Anyone who lives in our area is able to do that. And in fact, I was at a restaurant recently where we worked an event at a restaurant. While I was there, I talked to a couple of kids in the kitchen who barely even spoke English, very limited English. I invited them to that program, but that was their first question to me. What about my citizenship? I told them, I'm not here for that. I'm not concerned with that. Just come and learn what we do. And they're very excited. I have to go take their applications after I leave here. So, but yeah, we have an Explorer program that's open for all kids. We can get you applications for that. It's absolutely free. It's free to anyone, any kid in the city of Rockford, and we would love to see you there. I think when we start young that way, catch them when they're little, as they grow up, you know, they learn more and more, and before you know it, you'll have several officers in your congregation, so, yeah.
Question. I had a question pertaining to that. Are there any positions strictly just being a translator?
Not for our department specifically. We use a hub of translators. They are not actual employees of the Rockford Police Department, but we do have translators that do speak Swahili. They just aren't considered Rockford Police employees. However, if we have an officer who happens to speak Swahili, they themselves could be a translator, so they are an officer as well as a translator.
I also had a question for the window tints that you spoke about. Is it acceptable or is it not acceptable?
I'll let you speak to that, Officer Seal.
You can have, there's like an allowable amount of tents, so you can have tents, but it's like, it changes, right? Like let's say if you had no tents on the front, then you can have them darker in the back. So if you have tents on the front and the back, then there's a certain percentage that they have to be.
What's the percentage?
Yeah, we have a machine called a tentometer of all things. It's a machine that they actually place on the window, and it measures how much light is able to get through that tent. So if the tentometer tells us it's too dark, it's just too dark. So we can't visibly just look at a car and say, oh, that's 10% or that's 1%. We just get the machine and put it on there and it will tell us. But if you want to avoid it, I would say just leave the tent. Yeah, it's asking for trouble because as officers, we like to be able to see inside of a car so that we know what's going on, we know who's driving, and we know what to expect. So if I pull a car over and it's all black tent, I can't see what's in there. It could be someone that wants to hurt me, but I really wouldn't know. So I might be a little nervous in dealing with that situation. So just to avoid any problems, no tent. If you were my son, I would tell you, no tent.
I would say, because I don't want to tell you the wrong number. I would suggest looking it up, because like I said, it depends, right? If it's like super dark in the back, then the front can't be that light, you know? And then something to think about too, some people they'll do the tints themselves. And so just consider the fact that most of the cars that are manufactured now, they already come with some tint in the window. So if you add on to it, like then it adds on to the total.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a percentage of light that has to be allowed through. So you get, I mean, that's something that's like a Google search away.
Yeah, I'll tell you how I can look it up actually. If you put in ILVC into your computer, that's the Illinois Vehicle Code. That's everything you ever wanted to know about the laws of a car in Illinois. So if you put that in there and put window tint, it will take you to the window tint laws. So anytime you have a question about, you know, if your brakes are good or your tires or, you know, is your car too high off the ground or too low to the ground, put in ILVC and whatever you'd like to know and you can look it up there.
Good question. Also, I have a question about businesses. We have a lot of entrepreneurs here that they run their own business. What would you guys recommend as far as a safety procedure? I know a lot of them do have like security systems. Is there any recommendation for a security system, or what are your thoughts about that?
So, I mean, in terms of, you know, if you have like a storefront business, you know, obviously you need cameras, alarms, you know, that type of stuff. That's what I would suggest, maybe something to where it's maybe if there's video footage that it's stored somewhere, you know, off-site, maybe in the cloud or something, and, you know, go from there.
Yeah, we can't specifically recommend any brand over another, because it'll look like we're working with them type thing. But, yeah, I like the kind where it's connected to your phone, so that if you're at home, you can still see what's happening at your store while you're not in the store. I just personally like that kind, but we can't just recommend any brand over another. But I think another thing that people forget is lighting. Lighting is a good idea. Yeah, I don't know, for some reason, a lot of people think if they don't have lights there, then it won't welcome people in, but what it does create is a cover for people who want to do bad things, you know, because no one can see the bad things they're doing because it's so dark. So light it up as much as possible, and even if I'm driving down the street, I can see if someone's hanging around a closed business, I can say, hey, what are you doing? They're closed. You know, it's 11 o'clock at night, get away from that door type thing. So lighting is a good deal.
And as I say, you know, with technology and everything too, I mean, in some instances, you could almost go to Walmart and buy the cameras. You know, a lot of people have Ring cameras, I mean, and they work great at capturing stuff. You know, I would say, just as she was saying, in the dark, you know, you might have issues if there's no light in terms of what the camera can pick up. So,
And specifically to businesses, I don't have the knowledge, but from what I've heard working with parks is typically when you have a park without lighting at night, there can be a lot of issues there.
Oh, yeah.
When there's much better lighting there, typically causing people to leave it alone.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can see from afar what's going on, you know, as long as it's lit, but when it's completely dark, who knows what's happening, you know? You don't know until the next morning when you come there and you find the damage, but yeah, lighting's a big deal.
So talking with businesses this week, there was a lot of concerns that they were getting robbed and open to, and then they said the police of Rockford don't care about us. Like, what is your response to that when they say the police of Rockford, they don't care about us?
Do you know what makes them feel as if the police don't care? Do you know what caused them to feel that way? Oh, okay. I would love to see, if I could have spoken with them more, I would ask them, you know, what makes you feel as if the officer doesn't care? You know, was it the way an officer spoke to them, or, you know, was it in the response time? I would be interested in the aspects of that made them feel that the officers don't care. But as an officer, I would say I speak for all of us when I say we absolutely care. Not only are we officers, but a lot of us live in this very area, like Officer Seal. We live in the very area, so we're not doing it just to get a paycheck, but a lot of us have kids here. We have, in my case, grandchildren here. We have aunts and uncles. We have, you know, family members here that we care about as well. We want it to be just as safe for them and us as we do everyone else. So we care a lot. Yeah, if our city is, you know, not doing well, it is a direct reflection on what we are not doing. So we care a lot. We do care, and I'm sorry if some officer made someone feel that they didn't care, but I speak on behalf of most of us when I say we care a great deal.
And I agree with you. I can add to what you just said. You guys doing a great job.
Thank
You guys
you.
doing a great job. And today, I came in Bradford in 2009. It was so difficult for me to go to visit somebody the west side. It was very difficult. And today, I see a big store, like a big lot now. It wasn't there before. That means you guys have done a lot. And we, as a pastor myself, I can only ask the church, let's pray for those people. They're doing a good job. You guys are doing really great, and it's something that we have to keep you on our prayer every Sunday prayers, and that will bring some. You may not see the work of spiritual work, but again, when we say it, you will benefit from it.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
That's a good job. Good job.
I appreciate it. I think before we leave today, I would love to exchange information so that we can continue these talks. And I'm a firm believer in putting my money where my mouth is. Like, I don't just talk about something and don't follow through. So the things that I've spoken here today, I would like to see them come to fruition. So if we could exchange information so that we can speak about future things, that would be great.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
Are there any laws pertaining how loud a car should be?
Absolutely. You speak to the music, you mean the music or the muffler itself?
Muffler itself.
Yes, not only that, it's annoying. My neighbor's son, Man, I tell you what.
You just talking directly to him. Yes.
Yes, it's so annoying. Okay, so my neighbor's son, he got his car altered with a different muffler. He's a young man. He's probably 22, 23 years old. and he's got a nice job. He got this job, but he leaves very early in the morning, about 5 a.m. So he had this car and he got it altered and he got this muffler on the car. So when he starts the car, literally makes me jump out of my bed. So yes, it's very annoying and it's illegal. There is a law about how loud a car can be. So yeah, you can be pulled over for that. And once they pull you over for that, if they happen to notice other things that are, issues on a car as well, you can receive multiple tickets when you can be invisible in the first place by not having that loud thing, right?
It's all on that website you gave me.
There you go, ILBC. Yeah. Spend your money on something else, not making your car. Yeah, make your car sound like a motorcycle. It's so annoying. It's so loud. It's just loud. Yeah.
My question wasn't really like a question, but it feels good to like be able to talk with police officers because I feel like in my mind we see police officers like, oh my God, there's the police, you know what I mean? It's already like, oh my God, I'm scared. And every time I'm driving, people will be driving like a decent limit, but as soon as they see a police car, everybody slows down like 20 miles per hour. And I'm like,
you want to know a
that
secret?
bad to be confronted to a police officer.
You want to know a secret? We do too.
Oh my God, like, and sometimes I see the people drive so slow that even the police officer go past us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, drive, don't be that scared.
Yeah.
So it feels good to be able to break the glass, know that police officers are not just like the law. I know they are the law, but they're still approachable. Just
Absolutely.
in case you have trouble and everything, so
Yeah.
that feels really good.
Yeah, more than the law, we're human.
Yeah.
We just have chosen to do this job as a profession, but we have children, we have problems, we have teenagers, we have, in my case, adults, we're just regular people. So we love when people approach us and talk to us just like we are human because we are. So we like that. We like people to remember that. But yeah, we do actually. I know I do on the highway. He drives on the highway a lot, like soccer tournaments and things. But yeah, if I see a squad car, I want to make sure I'm doing the limit too. Yeah.
And what are some little things that people think but that are not true about the police?
Some things that they think are not true.
Yeah, because like you tell somebody, oh, I have a friend who's a police officer, they'll be like, they'd rather stay in the corner, be in the dark.
Yeah.
They might not be doing something wrong as to say, but they just rather stay away from the police. And being exposed to the police is like, if you have trouble, it's easier for you to approach them.
Sure.
But what are things that people usually keep, but like
Misconceptions.
Misconceptions about the police that they have?
One that I've heard often, a question that I get quite often from younger people is, do you get to break the law? Like you can drive as fast as you want and you don't get in trouble? Yes, I do. I have rules and laws to follow as well. So I have to abide by the same rules that everyone else does in the state of Illinois. Now, if I'm responding to a call or doing my job, those laws might look different. But if I'm just going to visit my mom or dad, or, I'm driving to my kid's school, I can't drive foolish. I can get a ticket too. That happens. Absolutely. So that's a question I get. What question do you get a lot as an officer? Like, do you get anything like that?
I mean, it's just basically the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have a different set of rules or standards? One thing I think people don't take into account is we live in a city that's not very big. We have about 150,000 people. It's not like this is LA or Chicago. So a lot of people know both of us. A lot of people get to know our officers in general. They recognize us. We do kind of hold ourselves to a higher standard. For instance, if I go to a restaurant and get my order wrong, I can't act a fool. Take it back. I can't act foolish, because I am who I am. So do I hold myself to a little higher standard? I do. I have to keep myself in check constantly because people see me differently. So, as they should. And I'm sure the pastor probably gets that as well. He's just a human after all, but he has to hold himself to a little bit higher. He can't just, get upset and go crazy because, his burger is not right. Yeah, I'm the same way. So.
That's awesome. So what would you tell African couples about domestic violence?
That's actually a really good question.
It's not allowed.
Yeah.
It's not allowed, you can't, so you can't, put your hands on your girlfriend or boyfriend or, wife or husband. It's not allowed. And in Illinois, they kind of have like a zero tolerance for it. So if someone calls and they get there, even if one person doesn't want the other one to get arrested, if there's evidence of a crime, they're gonna arrest them. And then upon that arrest, typically what happens is, so someone gets arrested, they'll go in front of a judge maybe the next day, or if it's like on a Friday, then Monday, and the judge might let them out, but then they'll put conditions in place, right? And so one of those conditions typically are that they have to stay away from that residence for, it could be 30 days, it could be 72 hours, it depends on the judge. And so then if you, let's say you live there, right, with your girlfriend, and you go back, if the police catch you, they're gonna arrest you again, just for being there, because now you're violating your agreement of getting out.
Yeah, that's actually one of those situations that I get the biggest response out of. I go to East High School once a year and speak to the teenagers there about different things like domestic violence or different types of sensitive crimes. Saying no, meaning no. When a woman says no, it's no type thing. But that's one of the biggest situations or biggest questions I get a response of. We tell the kids, hey, if you have a girlfriend, you can't hit her. They go, huh? If you have a wife, you can't hit her. They go, huh? It's my wife. Yes, it's your wife, but you can't hit her. That's illegal. And they, psh, we don't believe that. That's crazy. It's my wife. I can hit her if I want to. She belongs to me. And it really takes a lot. Yes. Oh, very much so. It takes a lot for us to convince them that that is illegal here, that you can't do that here. And they say things like, what if she's not listening? How do I make her listen? And I say, well, you can't make her listen. If she chooses to listen, okay. And they say, well, how can I rule her? How can I tell her what to do? What if I put her in the room and close the door? They have all of these questions. And yeah, it's very difficult to make them understand that they can't do things like that here. That is a big one. And that no means no. What if I want to be with her and she tells me no? I can take it? No, you can't take it. And they say, huh? We're married. No, you cannot take it. So that's a big deal.
We're facing, being a pastor, do a lot of counseling. And where we came from, being a man, your best food in the house is respect. We grow up that way. And brought into the United States, the reality is different. And I do counsel most of the time where women taking advantage. It's like punching back. So when you deal with those domestic violence, and do you also happen to get the root? Because sometimes the women will take advantage and say, okay, this time I'm not advantage, but the revenge. I'm gonna take the revenge to you. And we become, most of men, you see in African community, you see them. They're some of them crying in secret. Crying. They're crying, saying, where am I going to go and complain? As soon as my wife is gonna say something, they're gonna trust my wife. Nobody's gonna trust me. The story is just one-sided.
So I would say, if the police respond to something, they will do an investigation. It's not just necessarily taking somebody's word for it. But it's like I said before, they gotta have evidence to make arrests. So in a domestic violence situation, the evidence would typically include them seeing visible injuries, or maybe if they talk to someone who witnessed it, that could tell them what happened. But it's not necessarily gonna be a one-sided story.
It's awesome. You guys pay attention. We have a program after talking with the public school. We have learned the school is really performing so bad in math. And we would like to have a program in our church. We'd love to get the support from you, the police. how can you help us to run that program? Help those immigrant kids to perform so well in math.
Mm.
And now it's becoming IA students. We don't want our students to be relying on IA, whatever. just-
AI.
AI, excuse me, AI, and go and check the response or whatever. You don't even memorize the all procedure where to go from X to Z, but you just go and you have the response and it's done.
Mhm.
We'd like to have a program where you finish your school, it's no longer after school program. We are going to do our own after school program where put aside your computer. Put aside your computer, take a piece of paper, take your pencil, and we're gonna do the math in tables like this.
Mhm.
How can you support that program?
That's a good question. Do you plan to do that here at your church or do you?
Here at the church,
Oh, okay.
yes.
How will the kids get here from school?
How old?
How will they get here from school?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with public school and said, we are going to get all kids' names and we give it to you if buses can just come and drop them.
Oh, okay, that's nice. And you have tutors that are,
Yes, we have master degrees, we have doctors, all those stuff. Kids are here, bachelor degrees, we can just sit down and, yes, you do well in math. We have the school program, we have books already here. Let's train our kids, we prepare them to be ready. Maybe one day, you're gonna have a senate in our church.
right,
That's the goal. We're not just coming and closing our hands and watching, observing. No, we would like to be part of the system. Go inside.
that's a good idea. I guess my question is, where would you like the police to fit into that? Where would you like to see the police fit in?
We would like to see the police to tools, for example.
Tools?
Tools, being able to get computers, being able to get school supplies, being able to get all those stuff that really can help.
I see. I can't speak to, we don't typically give like straight up donations or give like write checks or anything like that. That's nothing I've ever seen in my time as an officer. But what we do is we can help if you're doing some type of drive to get computers or to get tools or things like that. We can find a way to be part of that as a resource. Say for instance, we can come and set up a resource table at a fair, if you're having a fair to do a drive to get these items. And at our table, we could be giving things like, stickers and pencils and things like that. But it's just another table, another tool in place that would help draw more people in that could possibly help to support you or your idea here.
Thank you so much.
We're having a car wash, so bring your people around, we're gonna wash our cars.
Oh, Saturday from 10 to 2.
Saturday, 10 to 2.
Free car wash.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Free car wash.
Where is it here?
Yeah, the chair.
Ah, okay.
So if you can come from 10 to 2, we're gonna be out there. You too, Jeremy. Bring your car. 10 to 2, so
Okay, I'll
please,
definitely keep that in mind.
we'll wash your police cars for free.
We can take pictures with them.
Yeah, you can take pictures. Yeah, a lot of people ask, can you take a picture of a police officer? And the answer is yes. Now, if you'd like a smiling, happy picture of a police officer, you may want to approach them and ask them, is it okay if I take a picture with you? But yeah, the answer is yes. In the state of Illinois, you can actually take a picture if you want to, of almost anything. You just can't take pictures in people's windows. But if I'm at Walmart and I'm clicking photos, that's not illegal. So, yep, you can take pictures of officers. I would say just ask them if they mind being in a photo with you, and if they mind if you post it on social media or whatever you plan to do with it. They usually say yes.
We're gonna have you to take the closing part, and if you have a final message to give to each one of us, that will be great. And please don't forget driving and drinking. What should we learn about?
About drinking and driving, the easiest way to address drinking and driving is to say absolutely don't do it. There is no, for me, there is no set limit that I like to speak about. I just say don't do it. Because at what point do you know if you've overstepped that limit? You don't know because you don't have the little machine to blow through in order to test yourself. So if you just don't do it in the first place, you don't have to worry about overstepping that. And, a lot of people say, oh, I'm a successful driver. I drive very well. You may be the best driver in the world. But even if somebody else causes an accident with you, you've been drinking and you are driving, guess who's going to be in the most trouble? So not only that, we don't want to hurt anyone. We don't want to see anyone get hurt. So, we aren't going to think about ourselves. Let's think about the next person and just not do it. In closing, I would just say thank you for allowing us to come and speak with you guys today. It's easier for me to just address the group instead of one at a time. But I appreciate being here. I love the open and honest conversation. I'd be willing to come back whenever you call upon me, and I am going to exchange information with you so that we can keep in contact, and I'm sure something wonderful is going to grow with this today.
How about you, Officer Wade? How about your closing remarks?